for product marketing professionals, positioning is super important. And one of the biggest data is live was not what the content person or in the agency brought together, right? It was the gate man that they asked, what is data to you? And the person said, data is life, right? And you want to understand that that particular phrase really represents a lot of other segments within the market. And we know how successful the campaign Data is Life with Airtel is. So these are like the importance of having to do research in marketing. So regardless of your area of competency, whether you're just starting marketing, you're a mid-level marketer, you are an expert or a T-shaped marketer, this session is absolutely for you. And also, if you're joining us for the very first time, please don't forget to follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and also join our community. The community manager is going to drop the link to all of these channels, so please feel free to be able to follow us. Like I said, we are building a community and would love you to be part of our community. It's important that we are in one space where we can continue to ask questions. And one of the importance of the community is the fact that for the past couple of weeks, months that we started this session, we've been able to help people who are struggling in their career. So like I said, last month, it was somebody who was having issues with email automation that I had to jump on the call with to be able to, direct them on what they need to do. And for you, you could be like running digital marketing ad and you're not getting like the result you want. Please feel free to drop comment in the community. An expert is going to reach out to you to be able to help you. For those who are also looking for a job, one of the things we've started doing is now posting more job opportunities for people to be able to join. Today, somebody in the B2B space was hired via growth camp for a big fintech platform, right, as their business development or their sales manager. These are some of the things that we want to be doing within this community to be able to help individuals who are in our community. So that's one of the benefits of being part of the community. Without further ado, our speaker is already here. My good friend Femi, we call him Femi of Africa because the guy just wants to conquer the world. Super excited to have him here. And he's an expert in this. I really want you to listen. I want you to learn because there's so much more you can learn from him, right? So I'm going to hand over the mic, please. You can put your hands together. I want to see the emoji as I invite Femi up stage to present the art of marketing research. Femi, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dami. It's such a pleasure to be with you guys tonight. I know a lot of the work that Dami has done in the industry, and it's absolutely amazing how far this community has come, hearing all the testimonies coming from it. So I'm going to try as much as possible to keep this class, one, as engaging as much as possible, two, as short as possible so that we can actually focus on asking and responding to questions, right? My goal for this class is not just to pass on knowledge to you guys, which even though that's pretty important, but my goal primarily is so that all of us can at least point out one thing that is very important that we are taking away from this class. So whether you are a pro, you already know everything that has to do with research and marketing, thumbs up to you, but I hope that at the end of this class, there's something that you can point out. So just, I want you guys to be as engaging as possible. In a few minutes, I will start an easing session. But prior to that, let me just quickly share what I have for you guys in terms of my presentation. All right, so yeah, welcome to the Art of Research in Marketing. And I put one little something, in my presentation, which says the why of what you do is more important than what you actually do. And I want to see how many people agree with that. Just give me your reactions. Let me measure how many people actually agree that the why of what you do is way more or way better than what you actually do. Please confirm that you can hear me and confirm that you can see my
Yeah, can you
presentation.
please see Femi's screen?
Okay. I want to
I
believe that
think no
they
is raising, she's raising her hand or his hand. I'm sorry, I'm not sure of the gender. You can unmute and speak if there is an issue. Okay, maybe it's just a mistake. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
so we're good to go. All right. So today's session, we're just going to talk about a few things, right? So first of all, we're going to talk a lot, majorly about problems. And I'll tell you the reason why we'll talk a lot about problems, right? And we're also going to talk about research design, which is very important. That's like the crux of your entire research endeavor, whether in marketing or anywhere else. And then we'll talk a bit about data, and then I'm just going to share with you a few tools and frameworks that can help you to really think about research when it comes to marketing. And then, of course, we'll have knowledge sharing session, which is like questions and answers, right? I want to believe that everybody here has something to contribute, and I would expect that we all do that. Okay, so I want to tell you a quick story. But before I tell you this story, I want to know what your why is. So I'd like maybe 3, 5, 7, no even numbers, only odd numbers because we want to be odd, right? To share their why. So when it comes to marketing, why marketing? You don't have to. I know that, some of us are not exactly, all fit deep into marketing, but for everyone here, even if you are not a marketing professional per se, you still are in the business of selling something or putting something in the eyes of an audience, right? So we're all into marketing, whether we like it or not. So what's your why? That's the most important thing I want to know. Okay, so if you're ready and you want to share with us, just raise your hand so I can call you. Anybody? Ah, okay. Oh, you people have not seen my other side as a teacher. I will call you. Who's that? All right, Chioma, I think that's the name. Please unmute and share with us. And let me know if I'm correct about the Chioma.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
So my wife is to basically also businesses, all businesses, therefore, to get their goods, their something much that we can export.
Okay, so if I hear you clearly, you said it's to help businesses to grow, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. I see testimony say sales. I think I see Sukomi also says sales. Okay, that's 3 people. I need 2 more people quickly so that we can proceed. What's your why? Who else? Who else is going to share with us? Ladies and gentlemen, we have. Okay, Sukomi, you were saying?
Yeah. I said my why is sales, because for
Okay.
me, I believe there's no marketing without sales, right? The goal of marketing is primary goal of marketing is sales, because without sales revenue, there's no revenue generation, right? So for a company to actually make or generate revenue, there need to be sales, right? So yeah, that's basically.
I mean, in marketing world is arguable. The goal of marketing is sales is very arguable, but we are not here to banter on who is right and who is wrong. So I get what you're saying though. I think Joy did say brand awareness. Chuku Patrick, please unmute your mic. Let's hear from you.
Hi, Femi.
Hi,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Right. Okay, so my own why is
Mhm.
I've been particularly fascinated by how people could be influenced to buy things, right, through words.
Mm.
And some of the strategies that actually, growing up, you know, I wanted to understand the reason why I bought this and I did not buy this. Why? Actually, so that led me into marketing. And my other why is that my dad also studied marketing. So I wanted to understand more of, because I was, in awe of my dad. I wanted to know more of what he studied. So marketing just happened to be it for me.
Okay, that's actually a very cool story. I mean, we know lawyers, to have generation of lawyers. So maybe your family will have like generation of marketers. Who knows? But thank you for sharing that. So I see a couple of comments out there as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my own why. So my why of research, not actually marketing. My why of what marketing is that I think I'm creative enough to convince people or to create um, strategies that can convince people to take particular steps, right? That's why I went into marketing. But my why of research. So I was working at an agency. This was sometime in 2018-ish. I was working at a digital agency and we had done campaigns, for a client. I was key account manager so I was handling the key accounts of the agency. So I was presenting to this CEO, our quarterly reports. And you know how agency, if you have worked in agency before, yeah, if you're an agency person, you know how you do it now. You just package your report, put all the numbers, impressions, the ones that make sense and don't, just so that clients can feel impressed. I did all of that. And after the presentation, the man was impressed. Actually, was like, good, 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 good. Then after the presentation, he now asks me that, okay, all these numbers, all these recommendations, you have not exactly pinpointed why. Why do we have this number of impressions and not this number? Why do we have a growth in, month 1 and month 2, and growth slowed in month 3? All you gave me are speculations of some kind. I would give you reasons, but they are just speculative at best. And that question shook me to my core, even though, obviously, if you're a marketing person here, you know how to find your way out of those kind of corners, right? I did find my way out of the corners, but it got me to really go back home and think, why do we generate so many numbers, especially when it comes to digital aspect of marketing? And there's really not a lot of insights that we can get from it still. So despite all the Facebook numbers, Instagram numbers, social links, all the platforms, aggregating data, all of that stuff, we're looking at impressions and we're comparing the numbers, but why? And that got me into thinking about actually going to answer the question of why. So I'm happy to tell you that majority, if you're very interested in research in marketing, majority of the things that you'll be doing are as answering questions, right? Majority of the things that you'll be doing answering questions. So I wrote here, every research endeavor begins with a problem, right? So for instance, like you can see the small diagram on my slide, you see 50% off. For a business to give 50% off, why? Right? If someone says, oh, buy one, get one free, which is invariably 50% off, why? Why are you giving me something for free? Why? Why? And for you as a business person or from the marketing standpoint, why are you giving 50%? Why? Why does that? What does it move? Is it because it's a popular idea? or it's because, oh, you've seen someone, maybe a competitor, do the same thing, and you just feel like, oh, let's copy and let's see if it works, right? Which a lot of us, we can testify that we kind of do. So why? So every research endeavor must begin with a problem. So you must be able to, first of all, do what I call an exploratory analysis, right? Which leads me to my very first point. If you are writing, please, I'd like you to write this down. Always start with data, whatever you can read from the data. So for instance, if you go to your Instagram page, you're managing the Instagram page of a business, right? And you checked your last insights for the last 30 days and you realize that, compared to the previous month, there has been a 20% drop. That should get you questioning, why is this happening, right? Or you see that the previous month you had 300K followers and this month you have 250K followers. So you already lost 50,000, followers, which could translate into something, right? So in your mind, you're trying to find out what exactly could be going on, right? And so you begin to dig. What happened to my posts? Are they engaging enough? Did I post the right things? Did my impressions drop? All of those, the things you can see from the naked standpoint, like anybody can read. That's what they call exploratory, analysis. So you don't need to crunch numbers into anywhere except your calculators, but you don't need to really pull one tool from somewhere and pull your data into it and be doing fancy, bar charts and all of that stuff. No, you are not even doing that just yet. You just want to, based on what you can see, the insights that are peripheral, just what you can really see, right? And that is what it starts with. So based on what you can see, can help you get questions that you can ask. Now you want to now dig deep, right? So when you do an exploratory analysis, you come up with questions with a lot of whys. Why is this? Why is that? Why is this? Why is that? And then you can pull them together and say, okay, this is the actual quests that we are going on, right? So we're going on ultimate search. We're looking for what stole our followers for this month, right? And that's where it really starts from. Now, how do you solve problems when it comes to research? Now, I use the acronym, which is very popular, so that you guys can easily remember it, right? Because you already know it's ascribed to goals, right? But I'm ascribing it to problems because there's a reason why, right? So I said here, problems are smart, so you need to be smart too. So for you to overcome your smart problems, you also need to be a smart marketer. You need to be a smart person. And what does being smart means? You remember SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? So let me talk about what SMART means when it comes to problems, in answering a problem or finding answers to a particular problem in research, in marketing. First of all, you want to be specific. You want to be as specific as possible. Feel free to read, the things I put. It might make you smile. It might not. If you get the jokes or not, that's fine. But if you get just, maybe you can drop a reaction from me or something. But yeah, just, oh, oops. Okay, so back, specific. So you want to know what your problem statement is. You have a clear problem statement. Now, I know that while looking at your data, you might see 20 questions that you want to answer. But if you cannot find a way to pull those 20 questions and answer them at once, if you cannot pull everything together to be one, then I would suggest that you actually answer one at a time. Don't go at everything together. Answer one at a time. Let your problem be clear. Know what it is for what it is, right? So if you want to really know if the problem is people don't know about your brand well enough, let that be the problem, right? Also, when you're talking to a new client, these are things that you want to figure out. What exactly is the problem that they have, right? Beyond what they said they have, what do they actually have, right? So you are very specific, and that's because problems are like JJ Okocha. They can dribble you, right? You just realize that you just solved this particular problem, and the next second when you implement all the solutions you've got, you realize that you didn't actually solve the problem you had in the first place, right? So you go about chasing from one shadow to another, right? So I need you to have it at the back of your mind, firstly, that your problems are very specific and you should be too. The second one is to measure, right? I already spoke about this, right? You need to actually look at your data first. See what your data is saying. Like I said here, the fear of initial data is actually the beginning of problem solving. If you do not see the data, like if, for instance, you are talking to a new client and they say, oh, we are not converting, right? You don't say, oh, I will give you all the sales in this world. I've done it before, I will do it again. My brother, my sister, that may not be so true, right? You want to actually check what the data says from their end so that you know whether they shouldn't even be in business at all, right? So that initial data, very, very important. Then, is it achievable, right? Some problems are bigger than the business, like what I said now, right? If, for instance, you do a SWOT analysis and you see that these people are threatened by the government, right? There are policies that are choking the market and it's not peculiar to them, then how do you as a marketer solve that kind of a problem? Do you get what I mean? So you need to know if this problem is actually achievable, if it is within the confines. Some problems are not marketing specific. They are not even for marketers to solve. Some of them is just that, you guys have been playing online and all your customers don't particularly make purchase decisions from internet, right? So maybe you want to get word out to the streets or to people who can influence the decisions of your leads. Do you get what I mean? So not all your problems are actually achievable in one direction, right? Then relevance, right? So some problems are also not relevant. I already said that in passing. Some problems are not the marketer's problem, right? So for instance, there's high attrition rate. A lot of people are leaving the organization and they come to meet you and say, oh, maybe it's because of the way our organization is positioned, or maybe it's just the way your boss shouts at everybody in the morning before going to work or before people get to work, or some stringent policies that don't help employees, and when they see better offers they move. Do you get what I mean? So not all the problems are actually relevant, right? It could be that your Glassdoor reviews are bad, that's why customers are not coming to you. It just could be that. Just treat your employees well and things will be okay, right? So try as much as possible to solve relevant problems rather than just, focus on your focus, please. And then finally, timing. You know how important it is. Timing is when you want to do something, especially when it's a marketing endeavor, and you want to think about, maybe you are working on a new product, you're already working on your go-to market strategy, and you realize that, could this be the right time to actually enter into the market? Is this the best time to do that, right? Just like everything that has to do with people, that has to do with money, timing is everything. So do you want to actually solve problems that are more urgent to solve and leave this particular problem till the future when you actually need to solve it? Or maybe you are even too late and that problem has already eaten too deep and you have to now figure out how to address it and solve that problem. Do we understand what I've shared so far? When I say smart problems require smart people, are we following? Do we get it? Does anybody have any questions so far? All right. So I see people are following. Thank you for the response, the reactions. I appreciate it. Okay, so I'm just going to move forward now. So let's go. We've talked about problems, right? So enough of problems. Now let's go into what to actually do. So let's talk about research design. Now, why is design important? Don't forget, the topic for this class or this title is the art of research in marketing. And that means that research is an art. And for every art, you have to think, when you think art or creativity, you have to actually think about design. And why is this important? Because research involves a number of processes, right? So you see the goal, you see where you are going, and you are at point A, and you see that where you are going is actually point B. You already have that in mind because every research starts with an hypothesis or a theory, meaning that when you define your problem statement, right, and you break it down into maybe there's a goal, there's an aim that you want to hit. So for instance,
Hello,
you are now,
Femi.
yes, can you hear me?
Can you please stop sharing and share again? So someone is complaining that they can't see your screen again. So you can just stop sharing, then you can share again. Go back to that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm just going to get back to it. All right. Has it come up now? Can you see it?
It's coming. Yeah, it's visible. Yeah. Can people also confirm that they can see it?
All right. Please confirm. Just drop it in chat or reaction or something. Okay. Okay. I see some reactions. Okay. But if you can't see it, please react as well so that we know what we are doing and where we are going, right? So as I was saying, so can I continue now?
Yes, Femi, we can continue.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, when you define your problem statement, when you have a clear problem statement, right? You've now concluded that, okay, this is the problem you are going to solve. Obviously, that leads you to a particular aim or maybe a set of objectives, right? And with that, so let me just give an example. You're trying to help, who can suggest a brand name? Let's just, be hypothetical here. Any brand name and what they do or what problems you've seen so that it's easier for you guys to grasp. Anyone?
Child delivery.
Child deck delivery. Okay, what's the problem with the delivery? Slower than normal.
No, I think people just want comfortable. People want to be at the comfort of their house and their food gets delivered to them. So they are bridging the gap between the vendors who are the restaurant and also the final consumer. So their
Okay.
job is to get your food to you fast.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely you are consuming at the most convenient point, which is your home, your office.
Okay. Okay. So let's now assume that, people are complaining that child deck riders are not delivering as quick as they expected, right? So we've seen that the problem is actually time of delivery, the time between when the customer orders and when the product is actually delivered to the customer. It should be maybe maximum 30 minutes, right? Now it's going to 3 hours, 4 hours. The food is already cold, some getting spoiled before it gets to the customer. That's a major problem right there, right? So the goal, we've defined what that problem is. Now the goal, the aim is to crunch delivery time back to say 20 minutes or 30, right? Now, this is not necessarily the core of this problem is not necessarily marketing oriented. It's more like a business problem, but still, let's just use it as an example so that we can understand exactly what I'm saying. So now we've seen that this is what happens, right? So our hypothesis is there's a possibility that where our drivers or where our riders take these products to, there's a lot of traffic, right? There's a possibility that the weather, maybe now that we're in the rainy season, that could actually be a major problem because once it rains, these are motorbikes, right? So they are not cars, they don't have coverings. So, bikers have to park somewhere and wait it out. Sometimes if the rain is too heavy, you don't also want your your food coming to you all soaked and, mushy, right? So these are hypotheses, theories that you have. Okay, maybe this is the problem. Maybe this is the reason why. Are you guys following? So maybe this is the reason why this is happening. So if our riders are not, they're supposed to spend 20 minutes, but they are not getting there in 20 minutes, they're getting there in 1 hour, then could it be that because it's always raining these days, could that be the reason why? Or could it be that, there's traffic, too much traffic on the road? Or could it be that Nigerian factor, you send a rider on an errand and they want to answer their own errand, right? So we've defined, we now have three different theories, three different hypotheses that we want to test. Do you get what I mean? So you don't just, this is what research is. You've defined your problem. You now have a goal, something you are working towards, and then you theorize. You kind of try to preempt yourself. Okay, could this be it? Could this be it? Could this be it? And those are the things that help you get into research, right? So you don't just wake up and say, oh, today we're collecting data or today we're calling all our customers. What are you talking to them for? What's the point? Do you understand? So all these processes are very important before you actually get to the crux of the matter, which is data collection, analysis, and then insights. But if you do not get those steps right, chances are you will be chasing something that you should not be chasing, or you will not ask the right questions, or you will not take the right steps, right? So now that we've figured out three different, hypotheses, now for the first hypothesis, who can remind me what the first hypothesis is? Let me know if you people are actually following what I'm saying. Anybody? We're running out of time. Anybody? You guys have not been listening. Okay, so the first hypothesis is that there's a possibility that the weather is a big possibility, right? So what do? We can say, okay, how do we get data? Do we want to check weather data for the past, say, 2 weeks or 2 months? When did customers start complaining about this thing? Right? When did the complaints actually start? So if the complaints started in, say, January, right? We can already look at weather data and say, okay, no, it was sunny for most of January, February, March. The rain didn't really start until April. So it cannot be weather, right? That leads us to another. So you see how collecting data now helps you be more intelligent. You are now more conscious of what can be and what can't be, right? And this is all data backed. Don't forget. It is not you just doing any mini manimo. No, this is actually all data backed. The second hypothesis is that there's a possibility that there's a lot of traffic, right, on the roads, right? So what do? You go to your customer information, you check which of the customers have actually complained in the past, right? You want to see how many times they've ordered, how many times their orders have been late, at what times were their orders late, right? And maybe you want to also ask people who live in the same area to say, oh, you live in Apo or you live in Garki, for instance. I live in Abuja, so I'm just going to use an Abuja example. So you live in Apo, for instance. We all know that, Apple can get a bit crazy when it comes to maybe during the peak periods like evenings, right? So I want to reach out to another customer who has not complained and say, oh, you've actually been ordering from us for the past 6 months. Can I, just take 5 minutes of your time to have a call? And then the customer says, oh, okay, no problem. And I ask questions around, oh, the last time you ordered, do you remember our riders being late at all for the past 6 months that you've been using this product, right? If they can recall, you want to ask them what time did they happen, right? Did they complain about it? What was the resolution, right? What did the driver say was the excuse? Do you understand? We want to collect those information, right? Or those pieces of information, gather them together. You record the sessions, you write them down, and then we can use that data and now analyze it and be able to reach a conclusion to answer whether our hypothesis is right or wrong. There are only two sides. Hypotheses are like coins. There are only two sides. You are either right or proven true or proven wrong. Is one of the two, right? Now to the third hypothesis, you want to talk to the drivers, or if you have trackers, you want to collect the tracking data of your motorcycles, right? They use phones, right? So you definitely are checking, okay, where did the map say they went to, right? Did they go to this point? Did they go to that point? Did they go straight? When did they leave? When did they arrive? What could have been discrepancy between the time they left and the time they got to where they were going to? I hope you are getting what I'm saying. So all of this actually helps us to test our hypothesis and see whether it is right and wrong. And chances are, at the end of the day, you are actually going to figure out, okay, this is exactly where the challenge is coming from. And then you can go ahead to present that to your stakeholders. So let's talk a bit about certain tools and frameworks that could be useful for our research work, right? Sorry about that. I apologize. So let us just look at some tools and frameworks that we can use that will be useful for our research endeavors. I hope everybody can still see me, see my screen. Everything is still clear.
Yes, 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 yes.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for responding. So I want us to look at frameworks at first. And I mean, if you guys can see my screen, you are already familiar with some of these things. Why did I include this? Because a major part of research has to do with strategy, right? Has to do with thinking strategically, right? So you want to be able to actually analyze things. Yes, data works, right? But you also want to have understanding of your market, understanding of your competition, understanding of your competitive advantage, understanding of your position in the market, right? And this is the reason why I've included certain frameworks that you may or may not be familiar with. I'm not going to explain them as much. I'll just expect that you write them down if you are not familiar and go and actually research on them. SWOT analysis, I believe everybody on this call should be a bit familiar with, where you check the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, right, of your business. So, for instance, if you are in the finance industry, or you work with a fintech, or you're working with a bank, you know that there are regulations that, very strict regulations in those kinds of industries. So the way you think about, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are different from the people who do food delivery. I'll give you a perfect example that comes to mind. Max.ng in Lagos was one of the biggest startups, as at when, everything was good. Them, GoKada, Opay, all these guys were running their businesses very smoothly. But it took just one policy, just one, for those businesses to actually run aground or pivot, right? Thankfully, some of the businesses were able to pivot, others just had to close shop and go and do something else, right? So that's how to, those kinds of things, these are also problems that need to be solved. But if you do not understand, SWOT, things like marketing mix, price, place, promotion, products, Porter's 5 forces, you don't know. Basically, I said I won't spend too much time on this, so please read up on it. They are very important for you to know if you are anywhere close to marketing. Then let's talk about tools. So there are also certain tools. Some are general, others are kind of specific, right? So for your analysis, you have Excel, you have Power BI, those are very beginner friendly. You have tutorials everywhere on the internet, especially on YouTube. You can watch for free and learn, right? The only thing is that the learning path is very bulky. So you can almost never finish learning Excel, for instance. That thing is wicked. Even the people who built it, they don't understand it 100%. So how much more you, right? Okay, testimony, you want to just, okay, so I'm just going to go without. Yeah, so there's that, Excel, Power BI, those are very beginner friendly. They are things that, you can learn, you should actually learn, even if you are not a marketing professional. These are tools that should be in your arsenal, whatever field you are in. You should actually have Excel in your arsenal. Power BI is Excel's, should I say, big brother or little brother? I don't even know which one, but they're sharp brothers, they're family. They're both built by Microsoft. It's just that Power BI is more of a visualization tool than Excel, right? They both are written on M language, and they can perform equal functions, arguably. So yeah, then you have Looker Studio. Looker Studio is, built by Google. That actually is more digital marketing oriented. So allows you to pull your data from different platforms. You can just Google Looker and you'll be able to see that platform. It's very easy to use, to be honest. If you have access to your Google Analytics, Google Analytics of your maybe client or company, you can pull your data from there. If you are using maybe a CRM software, you can pull your data from there. You can really aggregate your data and make sense of what is going on in your organization using Looker Studio from a digital marketing standpoint. Now, there's also Mixpanel. I added Mixpanel because I know there are a couple of people here that may be into core product marketing, right? So Mixpanel is very good when it comes to you want to understand your customer journey. What are they clicking? What are they not clicking? All those things. You want to do your UX research. Mixpanel is the one for you, specifically for product analysts, right? So I believe I can move away from this and possibly this as well, right? So finally, you must now be able to present your report. But before I talk about this reporting, let me talk about analysis a bit more. So under analysis is actually very broad. We can have a whole class on analysis, but let me just give you some insights, right? So when I was giving my example, I talked about, you calling a customer and just having conversations with them and recording their conversations. That's actually a form of data, but that's called qualitative data. It's called qualitative because it has to do with, it's very descriptive, it's very text based, right? They don't necessarily give you any numbers to work with. They are just telling you their feelings, right? And you are taking note of those feelings, and the goal for you is to look out for the patterns that those feelings depict. So for instance, if I ask everybody on this call to give me feedback on my class, and I say, you don't even have to tell me anything, just use the reactions, right? From the reactions, if I gather the data, I can tell how many people actually did enjoy this class. There's a pattern, right? So if there are, how many people on this call? 19, and I see, minus me, that's 18, and I see that only 2 people use the thumbs up. Like maybe 18 people, no, okay, not 18, mathematics, help me. 14 people use, thumbs down. That already gives me an idea, right? You guys, if you turn on your videos now, right, we can use your video data to actually determine how much you enjoyed this class without even using reactions, right? Because there's AI that can actually now take emotive data and make decisions based on it, right? Do you understand? So analysis is actually very important. That's qualitative because it doesn't involve numbers, right? We also have quantitative data. Now, if you're working with something like financial data, you want to know what your sales is like, for the year or for the month, you definitely will not be asking customers that. Or you will not call your accountant and say, oh, accountant, oh yeah, come and be using your mouth to tell me all the things that we sold and that we didn't sell, right? All you need is to actually see the numbers. You can tell, oh, okay, this is our revenue for the month. This is our profit margin. This is our profit. This is our percentage increase or decrease, whether profit or loss. This so you can actually tell what the data says. Now, the beauty of having all that is that you can also make statistical inferences. That means you can dig deeper. So let's say, for instance, you opened a store in Wuse 2. It's been 2 years now, right? And 2 years later, you just sit down and you are like, I don't even have enough for expansion. I've not even felt that this store has moved, right? You want to check your financial data for that 2 years. And for that, from that 2-year data, you can actually tell if there is a form of seasonality, right? Those are things you cannot see with your naked eye. You have to actually analyze that data. So you can see if there's a form of seasonality. So if maybe it's only Christmas time that people come to your shop and actually buy, like they buy well. You know that when it's Christmas season, that's when you are preparing for overload, right? So all year round, you might probably want to maybe diversify and do something else that can bring you profit all year round. And you know that, okay, this product actually sells in December. So December is me and you. But for the rest of the year, I'm going to do this, right? So that's where all those frameworks come in, because they help you when you have insights, you are able to make recommendations that actually make sense. Do you get what I mean? So you have qualitative, you have quantitative, then you have mixed method, of course. So if I want to, depending on the depth of my problem, I can actually collect, numerical data, and I can still ask questions. So for instance, you want to see a particular product and how much it has how much of an impact it has in the market. Maybe you built an app. You can actually go and look at all the numbers, what's your bounce rate, what's your customer lifetime value, all of that. But you can also organize a focus group session so that you can hear directly from the customers, right? So you can ask them, what are your pain points when it comes to using this product? What exactly is the problem you expect us to solve that we cannot solve? Numerical data may not be able to show you that, but people's expressions will. Do you get? So you need to understand when to actually call on qualitative or quantitative or use both, right? That's called mixed method. So all these things, we have a very short time. So please go and read up more on them, right? So back to reporting now. To be honest, when it comes to reporting, functionality trumps beauty 101,000%, right? No matter how fine your presentation is, how functional your report is actually very, very, very important. So you see people that form data analysts on the internet today, and they put some really nice charts, and you as a layman, you look at those charts and you can't make any sense of it. It doesn't, like, you cannot look at the chart and say, oh, okay, so this is what, okay, so this particular period sales dip, and at this particular period sales rise again. You cannot tell anything. It's just fine, right? That's the reason why you take solutions sometimes, and I know a lot of marketers can relate to this. You take a solution sometimes to your higher ups, and they don't understand anything you're saying. They're just like, go, 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 go. If they are nice enough, they'll tell you, just go and implement whatever you have in mind. And some will just outrightly bash you and say you don't know what you're saying, right? And that's because even though you've done your research, you have all the insights, you have not presented it in a way that they understand. Before I round off, I'll give you an example, right? So I was working with this company, it's a tech company, and one of these days I did my monthly report and I sent it to my boss. And my boss was like, Femi, I actually understand the charts you are sending me, right? But what's the point of it? Like, you have not put any, you are just showing me lots of jagbajantis, impressions, we had the engagement, click-through rates, this one, that one. Okay, so what should I do with all that? How will I make money? That's all my boss cared about. But you are telling him all the things you did, even though you consider that a success, he did not. Do you understand what I mean? So you need to be able to present all your information, all the insights you have gathered. You need to be able to present them functionally to every key stakeholder, right? And that's the reason why if you see maybe Money Points or Cowrywise, when they release their reports, the ones that we see as customers, they put a lot of notes before they put charts. They ensure that we're able to read, okay, 55% of people don't save money in banks again. That's how we can understand. So imagine that I just put charts. I put a pie chart, 55 slides, 45 slides on banks. Some people don't understand that. They just want to see you say 55% are using the bank. Shikena. They don't want extra story, right? So you need to learn reporting as well. I hope you've gained something, and I really want to believe. So what next? As this class is done, from my own end, but we're going to take questions, of course. But from my end, this class is done. So what do you do after this class? Get more knowledge. I know this is very, short. You cannot learn research in 1 hour. I've been doing this for donkey years now, and I still read a lot of journals. I still read a lot of articles. I still get a lot of knowledge into this small head of mine. So please get more knowledge as far as research is concerned. And then practice. Put this into practice, right? This third point, very important, and I intentionally put it so that because I've been there. Now, take those opportunities, even if people say no. So I understand that you might be working with people who do not understand the reason why you sit down and maybe come up with a problem statement. They don't want to hear any process. Just go and how does this make sales? That's what they ask, right? And that's why I said it's arguable if you say the point of marketing is sales, right? Because to some OGs, they actually believe that that's not true. Not every marketing endeavor is sales oriented, right? But that's conversation for another day. But my point is really see if even if your bosses say, oh, we don't pull the data, gather them together, go and do what you have to, right? Whether you are correct or you are wrong, make sure that you take every opportunity as a learning opportunity for yourself and for your growth. And then even if it gets tiring because it will frustrate you, I can tell you that for a fact, keep at it, don't stop. Okay? And then if this works for your benefits, please send me a note of thanks. Let me know that I have made some impact in the lives of people, and that's all I require. Thank you so much. So, once again, my name is Femi of Africa, and I'm on every platform you can find as Femi of Africa, or you can shoot me an email. I'll be happy to respond to you. Okay, so now we're done totally. Questions?
Thank you so much, Femi. Thank you so much, Femi. These have actually been quite insightful. Even as a professional, there's just a whole lot to be able to learn and uncover from. Some of the things you've said always start with data. And I think it's one of the most important things in marketing or in sales or even in business development.
Yes.
I remember during the North Star conference, one of the things I was speaking about was the importance of data. The reason why I transitioned from advertising to tech was because of data. That was the simple reason, if you ask me. Over time in advertising, I realized that advertising guys are always looking out for impression, reach, and that's like for them, right? But for me, I knew there was always something that was deeper, right? And for them, analytics too, they don't even know how to use it, right? But getting into tech, having to understand how to use all of the tools in which you use. I sleep on Power BI, Mixpanel, Firebase, Google Analytics, especially the G4, to be able to get like information that would help build my brand or build a product that I'm currently working on. And this data source gives you like a lot of information. Then you can just reference back to understanding or asking the right question. What is our challenges? What is our main blocker? How can we improve? What is the data saying? Then you can build a solid, solution just based on answering all of those questions. And I think those are some of the things in which you said today, and they are quite insightful. So thank you so much, Femi. I don't know if anybody has a question, right, or a takeaway. For me, the first thing you said when you started this was always start with data, and I think it's super important. There is absolutely nothing you want to do as a digital marketer, as a product marketer, as a growth marketer, most especially if you are in growth. It has to be data-based, right? There is always this popular saying in marketing. They will say that everybody has an opinion, then God is the only one who is correct, right?
Yeah.
If you are not God, come to me with data, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just an opinion you're giving to me, and a lot of people have opinions. So if you know you're not God, come to me with data, then we can have conversations and we can see how we can improve the product or whatever it is or the business that you're working on. So thank you so much for that information. So the line is open up for questions. If you know you're shy to talk, you can use the chat button or the chat feature to be able to ask your question. I'm sure we all have a couple of questions we would like to ask. So we have about 20 minutes to be able to answer questions before we round up. So the floor is yours. The floor is yours. The floor is yours. Hi, Alex. Please, you can
Good
unmute.
evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, so thank you so much, Femi of Africa, for sharing with us your time and your insights this evening. Sincerely appreciate it. So my question will be, if you have like a product that is new, you are preparing to launch a product, but you need a data to support what you try to do. But this product is new. You don't have any basics or anything to leverage on. So what would be your approach? And also, my second question is, I heard from one of these marketer, I think Rory. So he made a statement about one of the things that misled Nokia was data. That I think they were focusing wrongly on a particular data. So if you have any insight to share on how do you know that a data is not misleading for your work? Thank you.
All right. Uh, Thank you, Alex, for those questions. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, clearly, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for those questions. So your first question is, if you have a product that is new, you obviously do not have data yet. So how do you know? So what do you do in that instance? Okay, so here are a few things that I would do. Number one is look at your competitors, right? Look at the people you are going to fight in the market and see what trends exist already, right? So if, for instance, you want to start a food delivery business, right? Look at the people who are already doing it. There's Chowdeck, there is Eden, what's their name again? Yeah, I think it's Eden, something. Anyways, there's those guys. So there are a couple of them already. If you want to start a logistics business, there are a lot of logistics businesses out there that are already functional. So are they? What exactly are they on about? And this is where frameworks come to play, right? So, for instance, you now want to do something like Porter's Five Forces, right? So, what does rivalry look like? For instance, low key, some people know that there are certain organizations that you don't want to compete with if you don't want to waste your money. So, for instance, you want to start a sugar factory in this Nigeria, forget it. Plenty of people have put their money into it. I mean, I'm not trying to discourage if you have it in mind, to be honest, but you already have some giants in those industries that they will crunch you. They'll press your neck like George Floyd until you die. That's what they will do. They don't take they take monopoly. No, they are not monopoly because there are maybe two or three of them, but they take that market very seriously because that's their cash cow, right? So those kinds of information, using those frameworks, will actually help you understand if you're even playing in the right market, if there are opportunities in the market that you can plug into, right? Let me give you an example. I've been doing a study on Airbnb recently, and Airbnb started as, I mean, before Airbnb, there were already hotels, right? Plenty, like a lot, too many hotels self in the world. There are still too many of them today, anyways. But when Airbnb started, Airbnb saw that there were a particular niche audience that are not exactly attended to or fed by the hotels. So certain tourists who they don't want to stay in all those properly prim and proper prepared environment. They want to stay amongst the locals. They want to eat the food that they eat. They want to go about, they want to relate with the locals. They don't just want to go into a new town and go and sit in a world where the locals don't exist. Do you get me? And that was the problem that they sought to solve. And even though they were not the first to do it, but they came with a disruption. So their pricing strategy, for instance, was very different. They allowed the hosts and the guests determine that increased competition. So me and my neighbor, we have spaces to give out, right? My neighbor sets $20 per night. I can set $18 per night and offer the same service. And if the guest decides that, oh, I actually want to go with the cheaper option, even though they are giving me the same thing, so be it, right? And that was so amongst other things. So 7Ps, that's marketing mix, right? So price, product, place. There are places where you shouldn't do business, certain types of business, right? And there are places where there are opportunities, right? So all of these things are frameworks. They are theoretical, but they are frameworks that can guide you when you don't have data necessarily. And then the second thing I would say is you don't, I mean, if you're trying to launch a product, right, there's a product launch strategy, which feeds off of everything I've said so far. But then when you do that, it's it's a period of time. So you define when you want to actually now start reading and from day one, once that product is in the market, you start getting data, and you can actually use that data to tweak and tweak on a daily basis. If you're a growth marketer, you understand that every day, about every minute, every hour, you are looking at your data and you are trying to find insights, what is actually saying, so that you can make smaller changes. So your product is out, but your button is red, right? And it's affecting usage. If you are using Mixpanel, you're definitely going to see that, oh, this button, people are not engaging with it as they should, because it's a major action button. So what can we do? Can we do A/B testing? Whatever it is you can do to just ensure that you are testing. So at this point, you are bringing hypotheses, but you are still testing. And then you get to the point where you are actually very balanced and you can make decisions properly based on data. Did I answer your question, Alex?
Yeah.
Very.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yes, you did very well. But there's a second question. I don't know if you have the time.
I think so. Before you answer the second question, I think one of the other things you also want to look at, like you said, historical data. That they are historical data or data. Historical data are like super important when you are getting into a new market and you don't have like a product yet, but you're just about to launch. It's super important that you look at the historical data, right? So when you're building a product, I will always advise startup founders, businesses, you don't involve marketing or research when the product is being built, right? Marketing should be part of the original build-up of the product, right? So questions like, oh, what is the total addressable market for this product, right? Who are the near customers, right? Who has the highest number of share in the market in which we currently want to play? What is their strong point? You probably talk to their customers and you have like a couple of other people, but within the range that serves the product that you need that you can currently talk to. Those are the guys that will give you insight into what things are really going to look like on the field once your product is out. I remember I'm still consulting for the company in Kenya, and they have this payroll service that they want to launch, right? And new startup, there was no data, but apparently paid was already in the market. We begin to see that a lot of HR companies or even organizations that work abroad that hire Kenyans are beginning to look for opportunities like this, and the numbers are beginning to rise. So if your competitor did $2 million in revenue last year, and this year they've done $7 million in revenue, that means they've tripled their revenue by 350%. You know that there is a catch here. You don't need any other person to tell you that people are demanding for it. There's excellence in what your competitors are doing, right? And you can just look at that trajectory to be able to also understand that when you move into this product, when you move into this market, you definitely have like a market size that you can talk to or people that you can reach out to, and there's opportunity for you also to be able to grow. So historical data solves like all of that. Even if you don't have data, there are definitely people who are currently doing what you're doing and they have data. And if there is nobody doing what you're doing, don't do it. That is what I always advise. You cannot tell me you have one idea off the top of your brain and you don't have a competitor. I can most likely tell you are going to fail. Because what is new under the sun again? It might be new idea, but has to be under a product category, right? Or maybe you just have like a niche you want to serve another category. But if you say, oh, you have this shoe that you are launching that when I wear it, I'm going to be walking on the sky, your chances of failing is already 100%, right? Those products that are seeking for solution after you've launched them, they don't usually fly. So if you have a competitor, I'm sure you have historical data, and that will really help you in building your own business or building strategies or projections around your business. What's your second question again, please?
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if I'm taking a lot of time. Maybe other people can ask their question if you don't.
If nobody is raising their hand, I mean, if any other person has like a question, you can please raise your hand. Well, nobody's raising their hand right now, so we can just tackle your question, and we have 9 more minutes left.
All right, thank you. So yeah, I was asking, I stumbled into a YouTube for one of the marketer, Rory Sutherland. So he was mentioning that one of the things that went wrong for Nokia is because they had a wrong data that they were focusing on, that drive them wrongly. So I just want to know, maybe share some thoughts on how do you know that a particular data may be misleading for you and may lead you wrongly. Thank you.
Okay. So I can't speak particularly to the wrong data thing because I really don't know. But one thing I want to tell you is from the entire BlackBerry Nokia story, right, is that sometimes when you don't do coconut head, you need to be able to, you need to constantly be seeing where your market is going, right? Because far as BlackBerry and Nokia, they were very comfortable. They had, you know, like Dami said in the chat, vanity metrics. So things like, oh, they have impression, they have a lot, they have users that were already using their products. But the truth is that users, you cannot, user is not, the fact that I'm using a product does not mean I'm loyal to the product, right? So that means that you have to understand that this market, it's a competition. So if I'm not, if there's something better out there for me, I'm most likely going to move, right? So if your people, the people who worked with Nokia are not, you know, they are not sensible enough to actually see that, see, there is a new there are some new boys in town and they have presented a new way of interacting with smartphones, right? They have made phones way smarter. There are new ways of interacting with smartphones, right? Then you would definitely be on the losing end. And that's what I think happened to Nokia because they were just so comfortable in their own, you know, kingdom, and they felt like, oh, nothing is going to touch us here because we are the market leaders. But that's not a sensible thing to do. Even if you are the market leader, that's the more reason why you should be at the very forefront of every kind of innovation. So if you see someone innovating and you don't innovate, then something must be wrong with your head. Let me give you a perfect example to this. Snapchat, when Snapchat came into the market, it so threatened Instagram that I'm sure that Zuckerberg will have a couple of days not sleeping. But guess what they did? They started picking some of those things that they could see and they started putting it into their own app, right? So those things is definitely, those things are very, very important. So when you see that people are actually reacting to this app, they are using, there are certain features. When they saw Clubhouse, they saw what Clubhouse was doing. What did they do? They went to go and copy Clubhouse and put it on their app. See, nobody will beat you for actually doing that. So if you see that somebody has done something new in the market and people are responding to it, the onus is on you as a market leader to actually quickly act and build something that can help you balance that out. So I think that's really what happened to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Femi has touched it. First and foremost, you need to understand that there are oceans of data. You can look at your dashboard and you see 10,000 numbers. As an individual, one of the things you really want to first focus on is what is the most important metrics for this business, right? You need to stand and look at that. They are not the only one. One of the research I've also done was around Kodak. Kodak used to be the biggest camera company in the world,
Yes.
right? And one day, a junior intern did a research to say digital camera is the future of the world. and they presented at the management meeting, and they told him that, who told you people want to have photos on their phone or photos stored digitally? Everybody wants to hold their photo physically. Now, they don't understand that humans' behavior will change. And that is one thing your dashboard would never show you. People would start to change. The people will start gravitate towards new technology, right? So as a brand, that's one of the other things you also want to really focus on. You want to make sure that you are looking for the new technology that people are likely going to gravitate towards. We are talking about AI today. Any smartphone in the next 2 or 3 years that does not integrate AI on their products is going to fail. Why? AI makes life easy. Everybody wants convenience, right? It's also the new technology. So everybody's just trying to grasp their head around how it works. And that was one of the mistakes that Nokia made, right? They were thinking because we own the market, we also produce affordable phones to some extent. Our key area is in Africa. They don't see the competition coming. Also, it will be good for you to know that it wasn't Apple that killed Nokia in Africa. It was Techno. It was Techno that killed Nokia. Apple just took advantage of that as a process to be able to introduce their technology into the market, right? So it wasn't even BlackBerry, Nokia. Was Techno that killed them, right? And that was because people are beginning to look for convenience. Techno was doing 2 SIM phone, for example. Their phone had a radio, so people didn't need to buy a radio and buy a phone. With a phone, I can watch NTA. We were watching AIT on Techno back in those days, right? So solving for that, understanding that human behavior, that's one thing your data might not likely show you. You can infer from those things, however, it's not going to give you the full picture. So that's why it's also important for big brands to have like a research and development department for them to be able to speak to customers, think about the future, and start producing for the future and not just for now, right? And that's definitely one way to look at it. Pretty much, we are just 2 minutes. I never like to pass 7:30 because it's a Friday night and people have a lot they want to do. So thank you so much, Femi. This has been a very insightful session. If you have any other further question, please join the community, drop it there. I'm going to share the questions with Femi and we can then answer and send it back to you. But for today, thank you so much. Please put your hands together for Femi. Let me see the emojis, please. This has been super insightful. Thank you so much. Really interesting topic. I personally have learned a whole lot, and I believe that every other person here has also learned 1 or 2 things. So I hope when we invite you next time you come, there's definitely going to be more time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, brother. So that's the end of today's session. Thank you so much for joining. I believe you've learned 1 or 2 things. If you've learned anything, please go to our social media page, drop a review, let us know what you learned. This is also very important for us as a community so that other people can see that it's not just one of those communities. People are actually learning something and people are gaining from it. So please drop a review on the social media page. Would really appreciate it. Next month's session, we are already speaking with the speaker. It's really going to be interesting. It's going to be a female because my community manager said it has to be a female. So yeah, gender equality and balance, I'm pushing for that. Big fan. So looking forward to it. We'll communicate who the speaker is, and yeah, the flyers are going to be out very soon. So let's have a great weekend.